The numbers drop down. We're -1 tomorrow morning, but outlying spots much colder than that, easily 10 degrees below zero to 15 degrees below zero. So you hear about the polar vortex. We use that term very rarely because it's actually a thing. It is not just some hyped up phrase. So the polar vortex, this is what it is. Up at the poles, both the North and South Pole, there's an upper level low pressure system, and basically the winds around it go counterclockwise because of the turn of the earth. And this generally hangs out at the poles. A little bit weaker in the summer, a little stronger in the winter. But what happens, and what is happening right now, is occasionally, because of the tilt of the earth and because things kind of wobble around, some of that will dip down to the south, and that is what is happening now. And when it does, that jet stream moves to the south, it brings that biting cold air with it, and it drops it all the way into our country. It typically does not last long. This will be the case as well. But man, when you are bringing the air straight from the poles into our country, that's record-breaking territory in many locations and in many situations. We're talking about how long this is going to last, how cold we will get here locally, and a major, major change in our forecasts, as well as the next snowmaker coming in. All that and more coming up in just a few minutes. Jonathan, we'll send it over to you.
Great explainer, Bill. Thanks for that. You know, we're already starting to get some school delays for tomorrow morning.
So I took a square of this area. The average precip yesterday, and this was basically over an hour or two, was 2.4 inches. I then looked at the distance and said, okay, that's roughly 336 square miles in this zone. So how much water is that? And it is a monster number. It is over 14 billion gallons. So the question is, how much water is that in the real world perspective? We could say Olympic-sized swimming pools and it fills up, you know, so many. I put it out from here to the Mississippi, essentially, is how long those would stretch. But what I wanted to do was put it locally and say, okay, let's look at the National Mall, for example. So I have it here on the table. So we start, got the Lincoln Memorial this end. Here's the Washington Monument. We come down here, the U.S. Capitol. If we could somehow take the National Mall and put walls and kind of harness in that area, it's a total of roughly 480 acres. If we took that and we took the rain that fell, again, just inside the Beltway, we're not talking about the entire DMA, what would that equal? So I'm going to zoom this on in for you. I'll kind of walk on in. We're looking down 23rd Street here, northwest. That's, of course, the Lincoln Memorial. It would be up and equal 89.6 feet. It would nearly cover the Lincoln Memorial. We work our way down the mall over to the Washington Monument, which, of course, the monument's high. It's 555 feet. This would take it up about a fifth of the monument. All those flags that are around, they would all be gone. We take it down a little bit farther down the mall. The museums, all of those would practically be underwater. Nearly every building would be underwater at 90 feet. And then the U.S. Capitol here, the U.S. Capitol is 288 feet, so it wouldn't cover that, but it would cover all of that lower area. That would be underwater. Again, that is how much liquid fell yesterday.
Over. Stormwatch 7 Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly been tracking all of this afternoon. He's at the severe weather desk. And Bill, this kind of hail we're talking about coming down, how big was it you were saying?
We had $half size hail coming down, and we have multiple reports of that. We have reports of wind. This is a very serious weather day, and what you're looking at right now are all of these severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's plural, in our area. The shades of orange are where we have these active severe thunderstorms, and they're likely going to continue to blanket the area. So here's a look at the radar around D.C. and what you're going to experience if you're underneath one of these storms. Very heavy rainfall. You will see the cloud-to-ground lightning strikes, and there's a brand new severe thunderstorm warning there down to the south that we are tracking, and this one showing some very strong signs of some large hail as well. We are tracking storms around the region that continue to move from the south to the north, generally speaking, but stay stationary. And it doesn't matter where you are in our area. We go all the way down to parts of Spotsylvania County and all the way up to the north, northern Anne Arundel County in our area, and there are severe thunderstorms all over the region. It's very difficult to track each one of these because there are multiple severe thunderstorms, so you want to have that Stormwatch 7 weather app handy. But I will tell you, the next couple of hours at least, give it another 1 to 2 hours minimally before you leave the house if you're going to be driving around, because if you get caught under one of these things, the kind of rain is going to be blinding where you have to pull over. The lightning and the hail and the winds, just one of those situations you don't want to be out on the road. We will track the hour by hour because things will improve, but not for a few hours for sure, as meteorologist Josh Knight kind of shows you all these different warnings around the DMV. Guys, active evening, just real quick, a brand new severe weather report coming in for D.C. This is a hail, 1.25 inch right there here at 1 mile south of the U.S. Capitol in the district. So they're all over. Guys, we'll send it back over to you.
All right, Bill, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks.
And Bill, I think you have our watch party forecast. Looking good, my friend?
I hear it's better than yesterday's.
That's
it's
positive.
Looking fantastic. Much better than yesterday. Of course, we had all that rain yesterday, over a half an inch of rain here in the D.C. Metro. And as we look out, before we pull the graphics on the screen, I just want to show you we're the top of the yard, the Hampton Inn, right here at Navy Yard. And we're looking in basically from center field right into home plate. And this is going to be filled up. You have a beautiful view of the Anacostia River out here. And most importantly, in terms of what we're looking at, look how gorgeous the sky is. Not a cloud in the sky. So let me kind of break down what's going on for you tonight. Temperature-wise, right now, it is delightful. How about that? 67 degrees, and the winds, I want to point out, just at 8 miles per hour. And here we are up on top of the building, and there's no wind at all. So very light winds around the area. Wind is not going to be an issue if you're heading out tonight. I will say, with the clear skies, the light winds, the dry air, those temperatures are going to drop. So it will be a bit on the chilly side. As you can see right now, I'm just kind of wearing the undershirt here, and I'm very comfortable. It's going to be much cooler, though, when that sun goes down. So 7 o'clock, we're looking at a temperature of 60 degrees. It's going to be clear. Then we're going to drop those numbers on down to probably the mid-50s or so. By the time we get to 9 o'clock, we'll say 56 degrees. And then later this evening, 10, 11 o'clock, here in D.C., we're pretty easily down into the mid and low 50s. Some of the outlying spots by 11 o'clock, easily 47, 46. So it will be a chilly evening out there tonight if you're going to be spending any time outside. Now, in terms of our day tomorrow, so beautiful tonight. We're dry tomorrow, 69 degrees. It will be a chilly start, but we are expecting mostly sunny skies, no weather-related issues for you. So we had the rain yesterday, gorgeous today. It's going to be a very nice day tomorrow as well. And then, of course, we look ahead to your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're talking, of course, the game comes home here. Mostly cloudy skies on your Friday. I think that game is going to be fine. Saturday, isolated showers through the day, but when we get into Saturday night, notice Sunday here, we're talking about the rainfall that's going to be likely. On Sunday, rain likely during the day, but if we really hone in on Nats Park, we're talking about Saturday night and Sunday night. I think Saturday night's game has a greater chance of having rain than Sunday night's game, even though our day on Sunday with a high of 65 is likely going to be rainy. It's probably going to taper off by the time we get to that. All right, so let's talk about your 7-day forecast. I want to show you overall the big picture and what it is looking like around the area. There's your 66 on Friday. Notice that we have Saturday, Sunday, that chance of rain Saturday, the chance of rain Sunday. There are many things we look at when putting together a winter weather forecast. What are the winds doing up in the Arctic and North Atlantic regions? What about the snowpack up there in the northern latitudes? How does that relate to normal? We'll also look at the probabilities from the Climate Prediction Center and what they might be focused on. But what typically has the greatest impact for us is what's going on in the waters of the Pacific Ocean near the equator. Are they relatively warm, which is El Nino, or relatively cool, which is La Nina? This can have an effect on the overall patterns, and that, combined with local climate, can help give us a gauge as to what you might expect at your house this winter. But before we get into the forecast, let me show you our baseline here, set the stage. 15.4 inches of snow. That's typically what we would get in D.C., measured at Reagan National. We get snow from November all the way through March, but February is typically our snowiest month. Last season, we were above normal around the region. We ended up with 16.9 inches officially in D.C. Now, in terms of temperatures, we have a pretty wide range around the DMV, with Hagerstown having an overall average near freezing, mid-30s for Chantilly, and the average winter temperature in D.C. is 38.2. How'd we do last year? Well, you probably remember. It's pretty mild. We ended up with 41 degrees for the overall average, more than 3 degrees above normal, with January being our coldest month and closest to normal. But all 3 months, December, January, and February, were above normal. So that leads us into our winter forecast for this season. The Stormwatch 7 weather team has compiled all the data. Let me bring this map out. This is a look at the normal snowfall totals around the DMV. This year, we're thinking at or below normal snowfall totals. We are not in El Nino or La Nina. It's actually called neutral. We're going to say 7 to 17 inches of snow for the I-95 corridor, southern Maryland, a foot to 22 inches just east of the Blue Ridge, and 20 to 30 inches for the mountains out west. Now let me back up here, talk about temperatures. Overall, we see the average winter temperatures being above normal. Doesn't mean we won't have cold days. We will. We actually think we'll see a late season cold snap, with February being the closest to normal. But overall, we think above. So in a nutshell, snowfall at or below normal, and temperatures above normal for the winter season. But regardless, if you haven't fired up the snowblower, had your shovel out, or your winter weather gear ready yet, do that, because winter starts officially in just about 30 days.